What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one, we got some excellent news here for the New England Patriots. Finally, some positive news. Of course, the last few weeks, this team has really dealt with a lot of negatives, all the way from COVID opt-outs, not being able to practice, to players being injured and placed on injured reserve. But it seems like the rock is finally being turned over, and cross your fingers, knock on wood, that it stays that way, because today in practice we had around 6 total players returning, whether that was from injured reserve, whether that was from the COVID reserve list, and it is being called a massive influx of talent returning to the Patriots. So to start off here, we have center David Andrews returning from the injured reserve. Of course, David Andrews is probably, I would say, the biggest on this list. The Patriots as a whole need help on that offensive line. I think the depth they have is good. I think that the reason that they played so poorly against the Broncos was because they never actually got to practice with the starting lineup that they had against the Denver Broncos on Sunday, so that didn't help them. They're mismatching from quarter to quarter, so that didn't help. I like the depth the Patriots have, but having a captain back, having your starting center and David Andrews back is going to be a tremendous upgrade for the Patriots. Blocking for Cam Newton, of course, giving him more time to help get to the passing game going, but of course also having help for the running game, especially guys like Damien Harris, who have not been able to play with a full, healthy offensive line. Now, Andrews was originally placed on the injured reserve on September 26th with what I believe was a broken hand, if I remember correctly. It was definitely a hand injury, ended up having to get surgery on it, ended up getting placed on the injured reserve, missed 3 games. His hand is still wrapped, so it's going to be something to continue to monitor, but either way, he's back. That's what's important, and hopefully he can get out there and look extremely well and continue to help this offense. And of course, what this means for the New England Patriots is that Joe Thuney will go back to his starting role at left guard. Now, that would be my guess. Of course, the New England Patriots are still dealing with some injuries over at right tackle now with Jermaine Illuminor placed on the injured reserve, so I'll be curious to see, do they place him at that right tackle? Do they place him at left guard? My guess is left guard, but essentially we're still going to have to see. Now, the Patriots did have another player returning from IR in linebacker Josh Uche, and this is going to be a really intriguing one, Something to remember to keep in mind about these players returning from injured reserve, not just now, but for the entire season, is that when a player comes back to practice after being on the injured reserve, after being activated, is that they have an open window of 21 days to be actually activated for game day. If they are not within that 21-day window, they will be placed on injured reserve for the rest of the season and are not able to come back. I think Josh Uche is a really intriguing one because I think that he can really help out this New England Patriots defense. I think he can give it the spark that they need, whether that is him setting the edge and hopefully giving Chase Winovich, a guy on the opposite side of him, to apply pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, which is very much needed, or if they place him at that classic linebacker role, add some speed, add some coverage help, because Juwan Bentley clearly needs that. Being a former second-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, obviously there's a lot of expectations on him, and sadly, we have not seen him play a single game or a single snap in the NFL yet because he was inactive in each of the first 2 games of the regular season before being moved to injured reserve ahead of the Week 3 game due to ankle injuries and foot injuries also. Now, the Patriots did have a total of 3 players specifically returning from the injured reserve. You had David Andrews, the center, linebacker Josh Uche, and the third one is going to be a surprising one that I think we're all finally happy to have here, and that is going to be defensive tackle Bo Allen. And now, of course, Bo Allen was an offseason addition here by the New England Patriots, one of the first offseason additions they made, a guy that they're really expecting to come in and take over that role of Danny Shelton at that classic nose tackle position, a guy that they can line up next to Lawrence Guy. Now, Bo Allen has been able to return for several weeks now. The Patriots are just now finally activating him off of the injured reserve. I'm going to be really intrigued on the addition of Bo Allen. 1, how does he perform? 2, how much snaps does he get? And that is not just going to be in his first game. That is important, but just throughout the fluctuation of the rest of this season. Let's remember that he did go down with some type of foot injury within the first couple of days of training camp. We didn't really get to see him. He did not get to practice with this team. Of course, he hasn't played a snap in the NFL this season yet so far because he's been on injured reserve. So is he going to play against the 49ers? We'll have to see. Like I said, he needs to get back to practice. He needs to know what he's doing before Bill Belichick is going to be comfortable throwing him out there on the field. All in all, though, getting a guy back at the defensive line position is going to be extremely beneficial for the Patriots because, one, they need help at defensive tackle. We've been saying this because of Byron Cowart, Adam Butler, whatnot. And even if they had all those guys back, they still need help at defensive tackle. The Patriots got run over in the Broncos run game last week. Phillip Lindsay having over a 100-yard rushing game. If that continues to happen, the Pats are going to continue to lose games. They need a big body in that middle, and we'll just have to see if Bo Allen can be that guy. Now, of course, that does fill 3 positions out of the 6 players that did come back. We'll get to the other 3 in just a second, but of course, real quick, guys, the wait for football is finally over. The NFL is finally back. Everybody's upset, though, that they can't be at a game this year. They feel that they can't get in on any of the action with the NFL for the 2020 season, but you're wrong because BetOnline is giving you all of that action. They're going the extra mile to make sure that you get in on everything imaginable for this upcoming season. All the way from game spreads and totals to team, player, and coaching props, BetOnline gives you more options to wager than any place online. Now, you can get in on their season opening bonuses today and start off wagering on win, division, and championship futures today. All you got to do is head to BetOnline right now and take advantage of all of their great sign-up bonuses. Again, that is BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Now, the first 3 players that I just went over, those were guys returning from injured reserve. These final 3 players are guys that are returning from the COVID reserve list, which essentially is what players get put on if they have, COVID concerns of possibly getting it or they actually had it. So the most notable one here is going to be guard Shaq Mason. The Patriots are getting back another starting offensive lineman, and this is exactly what you want. Again, the Patriots have been scrambling around their offensive line for the past few weeks. The depletion really showed last week against the Broncos. Again, I say this all the time. You're going to hear me say it again because I can't stress it enough. Your offensive line is like the engine to a car. If your engine is messed up, the rest of your car is not going to work. The offensive line is the unit that essentially moves the offense around smoothly, whether that's helping out the pass game, whether that is helping out the run game. In the run game, if you don't have blockers up front, you're not going to get blocks. You're not going to be able to have holes to run through. And then if you're Cam Newton and you don't have guys to impact block for you, then you're not going to have much time to, find open players to let them go through their progressions. Now, Mason has been out for a little while now. He was out for 2 weeks due to a calf injury, and then they moved him over to the reserve COVID list because they were concerned that he could possibly have it. Essentially, that is why we have seen guys like Michael Onwenu, Yelda Froholt being lifted up onto the starting lineup. Nonetheless, though, Shaq Mason was doing really well before he had to go out for COVID and injury reasons. Getting him back at that right guard position is going to be extremely beneficial to the Patriots. Of course, having your starters back, having the guys that you want to be your primary guys at that position, that's always an addition that you would like to have. Let's remember that last week, the Patriots offensive line, and even weeks before that, was just all over the place. You had Yelda Froholt at right guard, you had Onwenu at right tackle and left guard, and then you had Joe Thuney at center. Essentially, what you're going to have now is you're going to have Wynn at your classic left tackle. You're going to have Joe Thuney most likely at guard. You're going to have Andrews at center. You have Mason back at right guard, and then at right tackle, they're talking about potentially putting Michael Onwenu. Now, the Patriots will also be getting back some more defensive line help here in defensive tackle Byron Cowart. A really good addition here back to the Patriots defense. Now, he has not been a standout or anything like that, but he has been doing a pretty fair job nonetheless. Now, he was diagnosed with COVID last Saturday, so it seems like he progressed really well throughout the virus. It seems like he kind of took his pace really well to be able to get back within a week, but of course that did lead to the game getting postponed, the Patriots-Broncos game, yet again. Now, he has been a rotational piece for the Patriots defensive tackle group, a second-year guy who is proving himself more and more as time goes on. He's been pretty well against the run, honestly. I think that's probably been his best aspect so far. So getting that back again is going to be very beneficial, but he also does have more ability to get to the quarterback than most of our defensive tackles do. And lastly, the Patriots are going to be getting back defensive end / linebacker in Derek Rivers. Now, I think some people don't think that this is going to be that much of an addition, but because of how depleted the Patriots are at that linebacker position, more specifically this offseason, Derek Rivers has really been thrusted into one of those starting roles, and so far, he's having the best year of his career so far. In fact, before he got placed on the reserve list, I would say he's been one of the biggest standouts defensively. Now, statistically this season, he has appeared in 4 games, has 1.5 sacks, 3 combined tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 3 quarterback hits. Let's also remember that he's not a guy that is getting 80, 90% of defensive snap counts. I think that if he continues to play as well as he is doing, able to get to the quarterback, setting the edge well, then he is going to continue to get more snaps as time goes by. I think that he's a guy that can also add some help there at that linebacker position, just because right now, essentially, it is just Juwan Bentley. Teams are really picking on Juwan Bentley because he's not much of a coverage style linebacker. The Patriots really need help with that, so I do think getting him back, even if he is just a rotational piece, is going to help out the Patriots defensive line, linebacker group, just getting to the quarterback, adding pressure pretty significantly. But that is going to be it for today's video. The New England Patriots have added 6 players back, which are expected to play against the San Francisco 49ers. We're just going to have to see. But I do expect the majority, if not all of these guys, to be active for this week's matchup, just because of how vital and how talented each of these individuals are. That is going to be it for today's video, though. What are your guys' thoughts on all of these 6 players returning from injured reserve and or the COVID reserve list? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up if you guys haven't already. It really helps me in the channel out, along with you sharing the video and also commenting down below. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in my next video.